worldwide leader in sports. For Mike Tomczak, Dave Armstrong saying so long from Blacksburg.
Today, Hampton University, the #1 team in the MEAC, travels to Orangeburg, South Carolina. And South Carolina State fans are poised and waiting for an upset. And it's next. We're at Bulldog Stadium in Orangeburg, South Carolina for this MEAC 1AA matchup as unbeaten and 11th ranked Pirates of Hampton University travel south and take on the Bulldogs of South Carolina State presented by Citi. How big is this game for these two teams? Well, let's check the MEAC standings. Hampton University is on top. Delaware State and Morgan will play each other today, and a win by South Carolina State gives them a tie for first place in the conference with 4 conference games remaining. Hello, everyone. Charlie Neal along with my partner Eddie Robinson, the former NFL linebacker. Welcome to Orangeburg, South Carolina. This South Carolina State team, Eddie, started the season 1-3. They won their last 2 ball games. A win today puts them back in the driver's seat for the conference title.
Yeah, definitely. They'll be back in the driver's seat for the MEAC title, but also they want to make the 1AA playoffs. The only way you can do that is to beat Hampton today in Orangeburg, win your conference, and get that automatic bid.
One reason Hampton has been so strong this year is they play great on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively.
Well, they have some great players. They're a well-coached team, but also Princeton Shepard. This kid is the quarterback who takes control of this team. He's the leader. Career-high 4 touchdown passes last week against Norfolk State, but 15 touchdown passes and only 1 interception on the year. That's the type of consistency you want from your quarterback position. But also, Justin Durant, he's a guy who's a Buck Buchanan finalist for this Defensive Player of the Year, and he makes plays all over the field, left to right. You have to know where he's at all times.
You're talking about Justin Durant and the defense for Hampton University. They're going to have their hands full trying to stop the double-edged running attack of South Carolina State. We're talking about thunder and lightning.
Yeah, these two guys are exciting. And Buddy Pugh, make no mistake about it, he wants to run the football. You start off with Deshaun Baker. He's thunder, a big physical guy, a senior leader who can get inside and outside. But William Ford, he's only a freshman, but he's a 100-meter state high school champ. He has the speed to go the distance whenever he touches the ball. He's the big playability from the running back position.
13th time that these two teams have met. Hampton leads the series. In fact, they've won the last 3. And the kickoff from Orangeburg coming up in just a moment.
Go big, real big.
Back here at Bulldog Stadium, fans are fired up, and so is that young man, number 47 for the South Carolina State Bulldogs, Evans Capers, fullback from Bluffton, South Carolina. Doesn't see a lot of playing time, but if he's fired up, just think about the rest of the team, Eddie.
Every team has to have that emotional leader, so you can see he has the guys ready to play today.
22,000 seating capacity here, and they're still filing in to Dawson Bulldog Stadium. 4,800 students enroll at South Carolina State. In the city of Orangeburg, only 14,000 people. So on game day, the capacity of the city doubles, right?
Yeah, it's a true college town. You can tell everyone here is a Bulldog fan, and everyone is at this football game ready to play.
South Carolina State will kick it off. They're in their dark red jerseys. Chris Dupree's kicking it off, and it's coming down to a fumble, and South Carolina State gets the ball first. A muff punt or muff on the catch of the kickoff. Maybe Hampton got lucky. The Hampton Pirates players are pointing. We haven't heard an official word from the officials yet. But I'll tell you, that was almost disaster for Hampton University. Let's look at it once again. I think it was Gilchrist or one of the players tried to come up and field a short kick, and it went off a helmet.
And what you have to realize from a kickoff return standpoint, you can fair catch the football. A lot of players don't understand that. So if it's a short kick like that, that's what you want to do. You don't want to have to take a chance of possibly fumbling that ball.
Almost a big break for the Bulldogs right off the bat. So from their own 31s, you look at Princeton Shepard, the numbers on him. He's making a homecoming of sort from Spring Valley High in Columbia, South Carolina. And there he is, 1,132 yards, 15 touchdowns, just 1 interception, and he's working out of the shotgun on first down. Empty backfield right now. And he's going to the air right away, has it complete inside, and a first down is gained. And it's Marquay McDaniel on the reception, and he's picking up where he left off a week ago as we look at the backs and receivers for the Pirates, with Coleman, Curtis Lewis in the backfield, Andre Jones, Marquay McDaniel, the receivers. The tight end is Lomax. The down linemen are McCaskill, Conley Smith, Gary, and Brandon Walker. They've done a great job all year. Here's a team that's averaging 362 yards a game of offense. Make it second in inches. And pitch. And here's a flea flicker. In the middle of the field, one-handed grab is made by McDaniel. He's wrestled out of bounds, but a big gain all the way down inside the 30-yard line to the 28. Good for 32 yards.
Yeah, I tell you, all those tricky Pirates, they threw a little flea flicker early in the game, getting that young secondary for South Carolina State to back up to kind of bite up on the run. But then the one-handed catch by McDaniel, you can see why this guy's such a big play receiver in the MEAC this year.
Came into the game with 36 receptions, and he has 2 already in this contest. We haven't even played 2 minutes. Here's Coleman with this first carry of the day, a pickup of a couple. Let's look at the defense for the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. The down lineman, Turner, along with Epps, Brooks, and Shaw. The linebackers, McFadden, Reed, and Henderson. And then the secondary, they've shaken up their lineup a little bit this year. We'll start with Brinson, along with Hamlin, Stanley, and Terrence Allen. Allen was the man who was beaten on the last play by McDaniel in the pass play. McDaniel making a great effort to come in with that ball with a one-handed catch. Little option to the right side, the pitch to the right, and it goes nowhere. Andre Jones stopped in his tracks right at about the 25, a gain maybe of 1 on the play, and it'll be 3rd down and 6.
And that's what you have to do. You have to play assignment football when you have that option. You see, you have a man on the quarterback, a man on the pitch, but they'll get tested all day with that option attack by Hampton.
And normally Andre Jones doesn't carry the ball a lot. Normally on those end sweeps, it's Marquay McDaniel is who they like to pitch it to on those options. Make it 3rd down 6. Pirates first and opening drive of the ball game. Trying to make their record 8-0. Plenty of time. Shepard. Escapability, but not much because McFadden came up and made the stop.
Yeah, you like to have McFadden. And here's a guy that had to play strong safety because of injury. Now he's back to his natural bandit position, kind of a weak side linebacker. Good decision by the quarterback for run. Think he sees something, but hey, McFadden right there to stop him short of that first down.
This will be a 38-yard field goal attempt by Andrew Patarini. His 47 is his longest this year. And the kick is up. Has the distance, and it is good. So Hampton gets on the board with a 38-yard field goal by Andrew Patarini. Patarini, 9 of 13 field goals so far this season, and a couple of big plays, including a 32-yard catch by Marquay McDaniel, and it's 3-0 with 11:50 to go in the first quarter.
And when you have a visiting team coming to your home place, you don't want them to start off with a 7-point drive. So good stop by South Carolina State. Once they got down there, they had a good 3rd down stop and forced them to kick the field goal. So all is not lost after the big play catch by McDaniel.
And it could have been disastrous. Remember earlier, after the opening kickoff was almost was muffed and was almost turned over to South Carolina State. As you look at William Ford trying to get ready as his team is preparing to go on offense. And here's the young man. He'll be back to return a kickoff. He's ranked 9th in the nation in kickoff returns, 3rd in the MEAC, 18th in all-purpose yards. And for the freshman, he's an exciting young man from Travelers Rest, South Carolina. You know where Travelers Rest is?
I can't say I passed through there just yet, but I'm looking forward to it on my way home.
A little bit northwest of Greenville, South Carolina, about maybe 9-10 miles outside of Greenville.
Charlie, you know everything.
And it comes down to Ford at about the 3-yard line. There he is. He breaks it out, and it's across the 35 to the 36-yard line. And that's good for 34 yards on the return. He came into the game averaging 27 yards per kickoff return.
And you can see he just shows good patience as he heads up through the line, but a lot of speed by this young freshman. This is a kid that if he ever gets a crease today, no one on this field will catch him.
Watch out. There's Cleveland McCoy from Hollywood, South Carolina. 4 touchdowns. If there's a knock on him, he's thrown 7 interceptions. And here's a pitch to the right side to Baker. Baker still on his feet. Baker close to the first down across the 45 to the 46.
And that's what South Carolina State wants to do. They want to establish the running game at all costs, and Baker is a big part of that. I mean, he's a senior, but he's a physical, tough, inside-out runner. You can see he gets through the line to age. If you're not going to tackle me, I'll just run over you. And it's going to take a couple people to stop him. Durant will have his hands full trying to attack Baker today.
So Baker gets him the first down after the 46-yard line. This is the opening drive for the Bulldogs of South Carolina State, who trail in the game by a score of 3-0. Hampton took the opening drive down the field, connected on a 38-yard field goal. Here's the option for Cleveland McCoy, and McCoy cannot get away from the defense of Alden Blizzard. Here's a look at the defensive lineup for South Carolina, or offensive lineup for South Carolina State. Deshaun Baker and McLeod along the receiver. Kelly King and Justin DuBose. Rolandis Breland gets to start today at the tight end spot. Up front, Nathaniel Richardson, James Lee, Raymond Harrison, Darrell Pringle, and Clyde Reed. And Coach Buddy Pugh thinks this may be one of the best lines in the MEAC. As the running back, Deshaun Baker, just tripped up before he could get back to the line of scrimmage, and actually he's going to lose about 3 yards.
And keep in mind, Charlie, they have that new field turf here in Orangeburg, and it's only their second time playing a home game, so that may be a factor with unsure footing on this new field that they have.
Well, when Coach Willie Jeffries was here, they used to grow sequoias out in the middle of the field when teams came in here and they wouldn't cut the grass.
And water it down to slow them down also. I remember that.
It is 3rd down. Here's McCoy to go to the air, has some room and running room, and is brought down from behind. No, he's not. He was collared momentarily, but then the second effort, it was Blizzard who had him, and then he got away from him.
I mean, it looked like he was tackled. I mean, he does a 360 pirouette. You could tell nobody's open down the field, and McCoy turned into a pretty good runner. But wow, look at that strength to get out of that tackle and still get the first down.
First down he has, and here's a counter play with Deshaun Baker cutting it back inside the 40 to about the 39-yard line. Finally made the stop was Marlon Fair, the defense of the Pirates of Hampton University. Marcus Dixon, Vernon Bryan, and Kendall Langford, the down linemen in the 3-4 alignment with Ray Lewis, Justin Durant, Demarius Sapp, along with Robinson or Baird at the linebacker spot. There's the secondary of Bain, Swinton, Fair, and Calvin Bannister. They do a pretty good job of picking you off, but as far as South Carolina State is concerned, they don't want to throw the ball if they don't have to. If they can just put you down the field, there's a catch and run by Dustin DuBose, the receiver, the sophomore from Darlington, South Carolina, with his 11th catch of the year. It was kind of a flanker screen.
Yeah, man, he's this little kid that's only 5'8", not a real big guy. And this is the type of pass plays they want. It's pretty much an extension of the running game. They get it out of the quarterback's hand fast and let the receiver get the run after catch.
This drive started at their own 36 for the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. Not much going on for Deshaun Baker that time, as he's stopped at about the 17-yard line.
And as we talked to Coach Buddy Pugh and Joe Blackwell about their offensive system, of course, they reworked a lot of things, but they do a no huddle, but it's not always a hurry up no huddle. Sometimes they'll get to the line and they'll go fast. They'll change the tempo. So just because they get to the line of scrimmage, don't expect them to rush all the time.
They call it a 3-tempo no huddle. Slow, medium, and fast, right? It is 2nd down. We'll call it 5. Ball resting at about the 17 of Hampton University. Here's the option by McCoy. Has some running room. He's at the 5. Touchdown, South Carolina State. "17-yard run by McCoy. And for him, that's his 3rd rushing touchdown this year.
Excellent decision making right here on McCoy. Hey, they take away the pitch, but nobody takes the quarterback. You have to play disciplined football when you're facing the option team, and McCoy having the speed to get it into the end zone for the Bulldogs to take the early lead.
And for the point after, Michael Gaston, he's 22 of 23 in PATs this year. to make it a 7-3 ball game. The kick is good, and the Bulldogs go out in front by a score of 7-3. 64-yard drive. McCoy with the touchdown.
Let's head back to South Carolina State as they take on the Pirates of Hampton.
Buddy Pugh's team has taken a 7-3 lead over the 11th ranked Pirates of Hampton University on Cleveland McCoy's long run here.
Then you can see the middle of the field. Safety doesn't get down into the alley. You have a good block on the outside by the wide receiver. No one takes the quarterback. McCoy makes the correct decision, puts it in the end zone himself.
Third rushing touchdown this year for Cleveland McCoy. 8 plays, 64 yards, and they score on their opening possession. Second time today. Dupree is kicking off. This time it's going to go out of bounds, and we got a penalty. And they're kicking it away from Kevin Teal, who is the #1 kick returner in the nation, averaging 34 yards per kickoff return, who had a 92-yard kickoff return for a touchdown earlier this year against Delaware State.
And you don't want to kick it to Kevin Teal, but at the same point, you don't want to kick it out of bounds and give it to him with the penalty.
They want to re-kick this one. You saw a shot of Buddy Pugh, and we came back. And here's his counterpart on the other side. 4 MEAC titles, 4 CIAA championships in his 15th year as the head man at Hampton University. 4th all-time winning as coach. Active in 1AA. Mike Kelly of Dayton, Bob Ford of Albany is 2, and Al Bagnali of Penn is ranked 3rd in that department in terms of winning as active coaches.
Yeah, not just winning. Joe Taylor just has a great graduation rate. Just a very well-respected guy in the coaching fraternity, and his players always play hard and smart football.
Short kick again. Comes down at the 21, 22-yard line and brought out to the 40-yard line. A good return for Hampton University, and bringing it out was Antonio Brown, and a good field position for the Pirates to start this their second drive right at the 40-yard line. Well, our referee today is Sam Jones, not the basketball player, but not my buddy Sam, not the NBA Hall of Famer, but there's Sam Jones there. And they just gave a warning against Hampton University's bench sideline warning.
Yeah, Sam Jones said, I'll get that warning out the way early to back those coaches out the way.
Second offensive possession for the Pirates of Hampton today. They're in a position they're normally not used to being in, trailing in the ball game early on. Craig McDaniel on the option. Here's a reverse coming to the near side. They get a peel back block and out to midfield, and a first down on the carry by Kevin Teal. The young man, they won't kick it to him, so we'll pitch it to him before Terrence Allen made the stop.
Yeah, and when you have an athlete like Kevin Teal, you're going to get the ball in his hand. But I really like this play. It's the option reverse, and you're waiting for one guy to make a mistake. You can see the defensive end for South Carolina State doesn't play disciplined football. You get a big play guy on the edge of your defense.
And it's a first down and 10 for the Pirates of Hampton University. Right at midfield stripe. Second possession, trailing 7-3. We're in the first quarter. Again, working from the shotgun. Here's a handoff to Beverly. Beverly gains about 3 yards. One of the things, though, in past years, Alonzo Coleman had a young man by the name of Daniels, Ardell Daniels. I had this middle block all of a sudden. Ardell Daniels, who graduated last year, who had transferred from a military academy. And again, they've got that double-edged sword with Coleman and Beverly this year.
Always good to have 2 running backs if you can, because it's just a tough position to have one guy.
Play action. Shepard throws complete near sideline, and it's Gilchrist on the reception. Jeremy Gilchrist, a sophomore from Virginia Beach, knocked out of bounds by Terrence Allen.
You really have to like the way Shepard is really developing as a pocket passer, as a quarterback. He can do a lot with his legs. But look at here. Here's a comeback route. It's a little bit high, but gives the receiver a nice chance to catch the ball and get his feet in bounds.
Jeremy Gilchrist with his 9th reception of the year. First drive, Marquay McDaniel had a couple of receptions. He had 3 touchdowns a week ago against Norfolk State. He had 6 the last 2 weeks. And this one is going nowhere as the Bulldog defense. There collapses on Beverly. This South Carolina State team started the season with a loss to Walford. They committed 4 turnovers in that ball game. Then they beat Winston-Salem, in which they gained 467 yards. They lost to Bethune 45-21, a conference game. They allowed 513 yards in that one. They lost to Coastal Carolina, and they beat Norfolk State and Florida A&M. Here's again trying to go to the left-right side, Andre Jones, and nothing happening there. I'll tell you that reverse has worked kind of quasi-semi, but look what happened here defensively.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to get guys on the perimeter. Here you can see South Carolina State just have people at the point of attack, David Irby, and those guys are just playing a good defensive scheme on the edge. But with that reverse, if you can get your guy on the edge of the defense, you only have one person to beat. So it's high risk, but it's also high reward for the offense.
48% for the season. Hampton on 3rd down conversions. This is a 3rd and 12. Blitz showing defensively by South Carolina State. Picked up. And the pass is incomplete because Shepard had to throw it a little bit earlier than he wanted to. Andre Jones was the intended receiver, but number 5, McFadden, was the man who was coming after it.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do sometimes, is put pressure, not always to get a sack, but to force a bad play. You can see here Alonzo Coleman, he's 90 yards from the all-time MEAC rushing record. Last week he only had 9 rushing yards. Started the game but wasn't able to finish because of injury. So we'll have to see how much will we see of Coleman today. If not, it'll be Kevin Beverly and Princeton Shepard to run this offense.
And you're talking about the injury he suffered against Norfolk State, and it was a hip pointer.
Those things can take a little time to heal.
First punt of the day, Jamal Blanchard, and this one's going to go into the end zone for the touchback. So it'll be brought out to the 20. 4:36 remaining, and we're in the first quarter here in Orangeburg. The Bulldogs over the Pirates, 7-3.
Rated PG-13. Now playing only in theaters.
7-3 is our score. South Carolina State over Hampton University, along with Eddie Robinson. I'm Charlie Neal. We're here in Orangeburg for this MEAC matchup. 13th meeting between Hampton and South Carolina State. Hampton leads at 11-1, average 26 points a game in 11 victories. South Carolina State first and Hampton first met in 37. The only victory by the Bulldogs was an overtime win in 2002. 14-10 was the score last year. That game up in Hampton, and Hampton was trailing 10-0 in that game, and they sacked McCoy on a 4th and 2 at the Hampton 26 late in the 4th quarter to preserve the victory in that game.
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina State just hasn't had a lot of success against the Pirates. At some point, you have to punch the bully in the mouth and go get your bike back and tell them we're going to beat you.
So they've been bullying them for a long time, haven't they? Here's a turn to corner trying to run with Ford, the freshman. And he gets back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe he lost a half a yard. And here's McCoy there. You're talking about what he's done so far today. 3 rushes, 33 yards, a touchdown. 1 for 1 in the passing department, 24 yards. Like you said, with those bullies, you got to let them know you're not going to let them pick on you for so long.
This is a perfect time.
Here's a high pitch to the left side, but there's Ford running with a reckless abandon, and he gets about 9 or 10 yards back, and he's about a half a yard shy of the first down.
And you know, and Buddy Pugh really smiles when you talk about William Ford. I mean, here's a guy, 100-meter high school state champ. So, of course, if he gets into the open field, he's gone. You can tell the way he hits that edge on that little swing pass. Simple play, but it has some big-time potential. I really like that play to William Ford.
He's a 2-time MEAC Rookie of the Week this season. Came into the game averaging just over 9 yards every time he touches the ball. It is 3rd down and 1. They're 38% on 3rd down conversions this year. The Bulldogs, here's the pitch, here's the first down, and more into the secondary and out of bounds in front of the South Carolina State bench. Goes forward, run out at about the 48-yard line. Coming up to make the stop defensively was Justin Durant, the linebacker.
Yeah, and it's always tough when you have a guy like Deshaun Baker, who's the physical guy. Now they go to 4. You have a speed guy. You can see the blockers on the edge, and the way he can hit the corner and make plays with his speed and his athletic ability on the edge of the defense.
And I think we have a penalty. No, I thought it was a penalty. It's a first down. I thought they were moving backward a little bit there. We have not seen any penalties in the game other than the kickoff. And that's it. Well, unless it was declined.
Yeah, you have
maybe it was one that was declined there.
You have 2 well-coached teams. I mean, Coach Buddy Pugh, Coach Taylor, I mean, these guys know how to have their players ready to play.
Now, Cleveland McCoy came to the line. It was something he did not like. And, of course, coaches told us in the meeting yesterday he have a couple check-off options, not a whole heck of a lot. They don't give him too many things to think about, right?
Yeah, run right or run left. That's his checkoff option.
ESPNU Inside the Polls, presented by Conoco, breaks down the new college football polls that comes your way each Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Mike Hall, Mike Gottfried, and Todd McShay will look back at the week that was and look ahead to the big matchups in college football. ESPNU Inside the Polls, presented by Conoco, each Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. 1AA playoff ramifications very much apparent in both coaches' minds in terms of what's going on. Only 8 teams get automatic bids to the 1AA playoffs. Hampton has gone the last couple of years. One of the things that Joe Taylor is very adamant about this year is getting them to show well. He feels this is his best team he's had in recent years. As you look at the top 25 poll, Appalachian State, you had a chance to see them earlier this year, Eddie. They're on top of the pack. Richmond's number 10. Hampton comes in at number 11. So you have the Atlantic 10, the Gateway. You've got some very, very tough conferences there. A lot of them will send 2, maybe 3 teams to the postseason playoffs.
Right. South Carolina State felt like they should have went last year with 2 losses, 1 to Hampton. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Hand off this time to Deshaun Baker, and he is not going to get away. That time coming up to make the stop is 47 for the defense, or 97, Vernon Bryant, rather. Vernon Bryant.
And you can see they put Baker back in because he's the guy between the tackles who can have the tough yards. But good job by Hampton coming up and getting everything clogged out with big Vernon Bryant. 16 total tackles and 4 tackles for loss. So he's been the force so far this year.
No gain on the play. 2nd down 10. Play action. McCoy with some running room again. Same play scored on earlier. Down inside the 30, 25, and out of bounds at the 21-yard line. They're going to mark it at about the 19. Good run by the quarterback, McCoy. The leading rusher in the game. That's good for 31.
Yeah, and you can see, good coverage down the field, but it's so hard when you have an X-factor quarterback, a guy who can pull the ball down and make a play with his legs. You can see everyone's covered. He just finds a small crease. Good pass rush, but once he gets into the open field, he's out the gate.
Last year against Hampton, he had 52 yards passing, 92 yards rushing. And he's done a great job of rushing the ball today. 2 minutes to go in the first quarter.
And this game is going exactly the way Buddy Pugh wants. They're being able to control the ball with their running game. They're getting everybody involved. McCoy, also the 2 running backs, Baker and Ford, receiving the whole package, and they don't have to pass too many times.
It is 2nd down, 7 after the gain of 3 on the last play. McCoy calling the offense. Ford is the lone back in the backfield. Option to the right side again. And a fake pitch, and Dustin Durant is right there to make the stop on the quarterback, McCoy. Also had some help there from Demarius Sapp, number 46.
Yeah, and you can see Durant, look how he just flows across the middle of the field and meets McCoy all the way at the end. And that's what you like about Durant. He can go from sideline to sideline and make plays in the running game and also in the passing game. That's why he's ranked as one of the best linebackers, not just in 1AA football, but in college football.
3rd and 4 at the 13. Durant, kind of a homecoming from him from Florence, South Carolina, incomplete. The pass intended downfield for Spencer Miller. Or was that number 2, the intended receiver? McLeod. Gerald McLeod goes incomplete. And that'll bring up a 4th down. That'll bring on the field goal unit from the 20-yard line. They will attempt the field goal. And this is by Michael Gaston. He is 2 for 3 in field goals this year, along a 40 This one's up. It's got the distance, and it's good. So a 30-yard field goal. And it's 10-3. Bulldogs. (10-3) our score here. Just under a minute to go in the first quarter. Cleveland McCoy, what a first quarter he's had. Leading rusher in the game with 64 yards, a touchdown, 17 on the touchdown run, 31 on the last drive that led to the field goal.
Yeah, and you can see McCoy, he's just making all the right decisions. He's dropped back, nobody's open. He takes off running the quick passes to DeBose. Let his receivers work for him. And here he comes again with the option. Nobody takes the quarterback. I'll take it into the end zone myself. And McCoy has everything working really good for the Bulldogs so far. Started it off slow this year with a couple of interceptions, had 7 so far going into this game, but you can tell, tells you that he can still run and still take control of this Bulldog offense.
Certainly can. Came in averaging 109 yards a game passing, and he was also averaging just about 2.5 yards per carry. But that's very deceptive when you're playing the quarterback spot, because you're always losing yards when you talk about being sacked and things of this nature. So those are negative yards. In fact, they've been sacked 11 times this year for 73 yards. So that takes away from his total overall average. Here's the kick by Dupree. Teal will have a chance this time from the 8-yard line. Teal up the right side, tripped up, still on his feet, dances outside, and finally dropped at the 30. He is exciting.
And I think the let's kick it to Teal experiment is over with. I would not kick the ball to Kevin Teal anymore. I mean, he showed me enough right there that he could potentially break this at any time. You can see good coverage by South Carolina State, but he does a lot in a very small space. His Bulldogs flying to the left of him, to the right of him, and he's still moving and getting yards. So you have to be careful when you kick the ball to that type of a kick returner who can bust this game open at any time.
Sophomore from Bowie High in Bowie, Maryland, leads the nation in kickoff returns. Trailing 10-3, third possession for the Pirates of Hampton today. From their own 30-yard line, 1st and 10. 2 backs in the backfield with the quarterback, Princeton Shepard. And a play action. Shepard throws, has it, incomplete, knocked away. Good defense downfield by the Bulldogs of South Carolina State.
Yeah, just a sharp play action, and what they're trying to do is get a double level out. You see one guy short, one guy deep, but it's a good defensive play by number 8, Thomas Stanley, by sinking on the deeper guy and making the quarterback throw it over his outstretched arms.
Remember, as far as passing efficiency, only 1 interception for Princeton Shepard all season long for the senior from Columbia, South Carolina, down the road about 45 minutes from Orangeburg. Sure, he has a lot of family in the stands today. Here's a pitch, or the little swing pass out in the flat. And not much running room that time for Beverly after the catch. Beverly came in, made his first start against the Aggies of North Carolina A&T because Coleman was injured in the previous game against Hampton. First game as a Hampton Pirate as the first quarter comes to an end. 204 yards, 4 touchdowns. Not a bad way to debut your collegiate career, right?
And you can see that running attack is still in good shape. Once Coleman leaves, Beverly is the guy who's going to take over.
10-3 is our score. We have 1 quarter under our belt. 3 to go right here in Orangeburg. The Bulldogs are growling loud. They lead it by 7.
The game's most dynamic receivers. Sunday NFL Countdown presented by IBM, 11 a.m. on ESPN.
ESPNU College Football brought to you by Energizer E² Lithium. Keep going. As we start the second quarter here in Orangeburg, South Carolina, the Bulldogs leading it by a score of 10-3, and the Pirates of Hampton facing a 3rd down and 7 at their own 32-yard line, rather. As you look at Joe Taylor, his team trailing in the ball game. Total offense so far today, 66. Season averaging 362. Still a lot of football left with the Pirates facing another 3rd down. They punted already today. They have a 38-yard field goal from Paterini. The only scoring, McFadden showing the blitz. And there's a pitch. Oh, that ball slipped somehow out of the hands of the quarterback, but they're going to call it an incompleted pass. And it almost was picked off by one of the linemen or the linebackers for the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. It looked like Eric Turner had a chance at it right there.
Yeah, and I like what they're doing, the Bulldogs on defense. They're bringing pressure on third down. They're not going to let Princeton Shepherd get comfortable in the pocket. Here you can see the ball is going forward. Very fortunate for Hampton that was really an incompleted pass and not a fumble.
Second time today that Jamal Blanchard, the freshman, has punted from Lauderdale Lakes, Florida. Second in the MEAC in punting. Skidded along the ground, picks it up, gets it off. And the catch made by Henry. Henry's got some room, and Henry has dropped at the 45, 46-yard line. Henry on the return, the sophomore from Florence, South Carolina, who came in averaging 4.5 yards per punt return.
Yeah, you have those line drive kicks like that. You're very fortunate that thing wasn't returned all the way for a touchdown. But I like what's happening in the first quarter. South Carolina State playing at home. Keep in mind they're 1-11 all time against Hampton. The last 2 years they haven't made the playoffs because Hampton has beaten them and won the MEAC crown, and they couldn't get that at large bid. So very impressive start for the Bulldogs today.
McCoy not in the lineup. Russell Hemby, the junior from Orangeburg's OW. Orangeburg Wilkinson High is in there running the offense now for the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. Look like McCoy shaking up a little bit. We talked to Coach yesterday, and one of the things we asked him, what happens if McCoy goes down?
And he told me that you were going to come in there and play a little quarterback. So he wasn't anticipating this happening. He said, that's not a situation I'm looking forward to.
Right? Yeah. Because I said, if I had to come out the booth, we're really in trouble. Second down and 12 after the loss of 2. Maybe if Jay Walker were here, we could get him down there to play. He may have one or two eligibility plays left. But that's
but Jay couldn't run the option.
Here's Hemby on the carry, and Hemby gets out to the 48-yard line, make it the 49. There's McCoy on the sideline. They've had to play Hemby in a couple of situations this year, and it looked like they're working on his inner arm, or they're working on something there as far as his hand is concerned, or maybe his wrist.
Yeah, his forearm or wrist area. But I mean, Hemby is a guy, he has played some. I mean, he's a junior and transferred to South Carolina State, so I think he can get something going.
Played at Western Carolina before coming here, and he has the option on third down, but the defense, they sense fresh meat in the ball game, and they're coming with a vengeance right now.
And that's what you have
Kendall
to do.
Langford.
I mean, when you get a new quarterback coming into the game, you want to find out, does he know the playbook extremely well like the first guy? And Cleveland McCoy off to a terrific start, and we'll have to see if he can come back in. But Russell Hemby, I mean, he's no slouch, but he's not a Cleveland McCoy. And it'll definitely be a big advantage to Hampton if he does not come back into the game.
Michael Gaston in to punt it away, averaging 27 yards per punt. Marquay McDaniel, the very dangerous return man, is deep for the Pirates of Hampton. First time today that South Carolina State has punted the ball. Good kick. Good kick by Gaston. And it goes into the end zone. It'll be brought out to the 20. You're talking about road trips. Well, Hampton had to make one to get down here. We'll take a look at their road trip. About 6.5 to 7 hours from Hampton to Orangeburg when we come back.
Booyah. Buno. Next.
10-3 is our score. 12-14 left here in the second quarter. We talked about the road trip Hampton made from Hampton University down here to Orangeburg, South Carolina. Well, we went on the road with them, and we followed them when they took a lunch break. Let's take a look.
Hey, look here. You got regular college, ACC, SEC. Then you got HBCU. Historically black colleges and universities. This is how we roll, baby. We feed you off the bus. Florida State ain't got it this good. Why go to Applebee's when we can feed you right under a bus? That's HBCU, baby. You got to love this.
Darius Swinton, there is the man who took the shots for us with the minicam yesterday. He chronicled their trip from Hampton down here, and like you said, why fly when you can eat under the bus at lunchtime?
And Charlie, that brings back memories playing at Alabama State 1AA. It's a lot of bus rides, some of them long. It's a tough way to go.
Hampton University with the ball right now. 1st and 10 at their own 20.
But
and we'll have more clips of that bus trip and that trip from Hampton down here. About 6.5, 7-hour ride with the Pirates later on as we continue through broadcast.
But I tell you what, I mean, it's such a bonding experience. I can remember the times. I mean, it's so many funny things
Some
that
things
happen
you don't want to bond, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you really develop a chemistry and a friendship and camaraderie with your teammates because
you can't do that on an airplane.
Well, the airplane's only an hour. That bus ride is 7 to 8 hours long. I mean,
here's a run to the right side, out to the 30-yard line on the carry is Beverly once again. And let's look at the run by Beverly.
Here you can see Beverly off the left side and just showing a little bit of patience, trying to find a crease. You don't want to get off your feet too much like that as a running back, because, man, those guys on defense will come and smack you. But Beverly, he's off to a good start also. 480 yards coming into this game. Very good backup to Coleman. It looked like we'll see quite a bit of him today.
3rd down and 1. Curtis Lewis, the up back, the fullback. On the 3rd and short situation, McDaniel is the man in motion. The handoff to Beverly. And he has the 1st down across the 30 to the 31, 32-yard line. So the Hampton Pirates move the chains. One of the things you always talk and hear coaches say is they don't want to be playing behind the chains. You always want to be playing in front of them.
Yeah, you want to get into those 2nd and short situations, those 3rd and short situations. You don't want to be in those 2nd and 10 and 12. And Hampton does a good job of always having positive plays. You don't see these guys having a lot of tackle for losses against their offense.
One of the things Hampton has done a good job of today, or this year, they've had 27 plays that have netted 20 or more yards this season. Here's a play action. Shepard in trouble, dances away, and maybe a yard or two, and that's it. He was in trouble, and that was good secondary coverage downfield. Don't forget to lace up your skates for college hockey. Comes your way on ESPNU next Sunday. The Maine Black Bears taking on the North Dakota Fighting Sioux. It's a battle of 2 of the top programs in the nation. College hockey right here on ESPNU Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. 9:50 the time remaining here, along with Eddie Robinson. Charlie Neal, glad you could join us. A great afternoon for football in Orangeburg. Temperature around 70 degrees at kickoff time, and the Hampton Pirates moving prematurely. McDaniel's all the way at the goal line, and the ball hasn't even been snapped yet.
Just try to get a jump on the action.
Yes, he was. He got jumped on the action. When you talk about penalties, Hampton came in averaging 68 yards in penalties per contest. South Carolina State, 73. Well, Keem Lamar, the guard, was the man who started the whole chain of reaction. And McDaniel followed suit. And then instead of a 1st and 10, it's 1st and 15.
Well, you just talked about not being behind on the chains. And now here you see that they're in the 2nd and long situation. And Hampton find himself where they have to try to make up something and try to get a 1st down.
Saw a shot of Joe Taylor. And here again. Here's the pass. Complete to McDaniel, his 3rd reception, good for 1st down and 16 yards. Finally stopped by Stanley defensively.
And here's just a good play action there up front. Running 3 levels, one guy's going deep, and McDaniel just does a good job of sitting inside the zone. And South Carolina State is going to play a little bit more zone coverage because they're somewhat young and inexperienced in the secondary. They don't want to just line up and play man. So you'll have those opportunities down the field if you can block the protection.
Coleman in the lineup. They play action to him, and Shepard keeps the ball and gains about 6 to the midfield stripe. And, of course, anytime Coleman comes into the lineup, everybody does what? Focus their attention on him. So that allows the quarterback, Princeton Shepard, to do his thing.
Yeah, and Coleman came in for that one play and went right back out. So you have to wonder how healthy he is. I mean, of course, he didn't even
carry the ball.
Yeah,
right.
he's just the decoy so far. And Beverly is actually getting all of the touches when they want to run the football.
It is 2nd down. We'll call it 4. Gain of 6 on the last play. Here's the handoff to Beverly, and Beverly gets nowhere. He is wrapped up immediately by DeLorean Shaw, number 92, the senior from Keenan High in Columbia.
Yeah, inside handoff. You see they have the 2-back formation, but wow, the big guy from South Carolina State Big Shaw just coming in there making people miss. He has 2.5 tackles for loss coming into the season. And that's what you need, some penetration from that defensive line. And that's the senior unit. 3 of those guys, 3 out of the 4 are seniors from South Carolina State. And they have to be the team leaders on defense. If they want to stop this running attack from Hampton, it's going to start up front with those guys playing on that defensive line.
17th time that DeLorean Shaw has stopped an opponent behind the line of scrimmage in his career. Here's 3rd down. Big play. McDaniel with an acrobatic catch for a first down to the 36-yard line. It was off his fingertips. Somehow he made the catch. Great concentration.
Yeah, McDaniel has the stick 'em working today, because this is the second time we've seen him make a one-hand catch. Here you see he tips one up right to himself. I mean, he's a big play receiver. And then what they're doing is they're bringing pressure on 3rd downs, and they're forcing Princeton Shepherd to get the ball out of his hand quick. That time he was able to hook up with McDaniel, and if he ever can catch one clean and take off running, this guy can go the distance on you also.
No question about it. And when you look at all the acrobatic catches he made, the average receiver is not going to make some of the catches he's made today. Here we go. Make that Beverly. Bounces to the outside. Beverly down to the 20-yard line. A gain of 16 yards for Mr. Beverly. So Beverly on the carry. Now he's asking to come out and take a breather.
Yeah, and Beverly is the guy that, I mean, keep in mind that he's technically the backup to Coleman. You know, Coleman's a little banged up, so when he's tired, you know, they have to come up with a 3rd-string running back. So we'll see how that works out for Hampton today.
That's Van Morgan wearing number 37, second back in the eye. And he has the ball in his hands and not much running room, maybe a yard or two for Van Morgan before he's hit by LaTravis Henderson, number 53.
And so you have to think that Coleman must really be banged up if they're going to the 3rd-string back. And so what you have to realize is that Beverly isn't used to carrying the ball that many times in one game because he's sharing duty. So if it comes down to it where he has to be the main workhorse today, we'll see how that works out.
Coleman is in the lineup right now.
See if he gets a touch or not.
It is 2nd down and 8. McDaniel in motion. Play action. Shepherd steps up. There's a flag down, maybe holding. We may see holding on Hampton University, and we do. Our referee, Sam Jones, is the man who threw the flag. It'll be 3rd and 8, or they can take it back. Are you surprised? That was Brandon Walker, the right tackle, who was guilty of holding. You surprised they declined this?
Yeah, because you always want to knock them out of field goal position to try to take points off the board. But I guess they just don't want to give this Hampton team 2 more shots at getting the 1st down and trying to score.
So it brings up a 3rd down and 10. Ball at the 20-yard line. Coleman is the back beside the quarterback, Shepherd. And now a timeout's being called by the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. Their first timeout. Well, that's their second, actually, because McCoy called one earlier. That's their second. They have one left. Hampton has all 3 of their timeouts remaining. 10-3 is our score. We'll be back in a moment. 10-3 our score. Joe Taylor, his team trailing by a touchdown in this game. 5:33 left in the second quarter. They're 2 for 5 in 3rd down conversions today. That is the Pirates of Hampton University. If they fail to convert and they don't gain a yard, you're still looking at a 37-yard field goal for Paterini.
They're bringing pressure again.
And they lose yards. They lose 4 yards on the play. So add 4 to that 37 as Littleberry came in to make the stop. Defensively, there he is, number 96.
And every time we get to a 3rd and long situation, I like the way South Carolina State is bringing pressure. They're not going to let Princeton Shepherd sit back there and bake a pizza and complete passes down the field. They're going to make him feel uncomfortable, move side to side. And so far, the blitz is working, incomplete passes, and then you see a sack on that 3rd and long situation.
So Antoine Smith will hold. Here's Paterini for a 41-yarder, and it is good. Line drive, but it made it. It was partially tipped at the line of scrimmage. and it is good. So 2 field goals by Paterini with 4:52 to go, and they close the gap to 10-6 here in Orangeburg. We'll be back. Under 5 minutes to go, second quarter. Hampton just scored on a field goal by Paterini of 41 yards, but a lot of pressure on the quarterback, Princeton Shepard, today by the Bulldog defense.
Yeah, I mean, you can see they're just trying to make him feel uncomfortable. Defensive coordinator Tom Evangelista said we're not going to let him sit back in the pocket and just feel comfortable in complete passes, and they're coming at him from all angles, not always getting sacks. That's not the point, but you want to keep him moving. And finally, big James Simmons gets a sack. And so South Carolina State Bulldogs putting pressure on Princeton Shepard, making him move within the pocket and not letting him set his feet and complete passes down the field.
And Ford on the kickoff return after the field goal by Paterini. And brings the ball out to the 27, and the Bulldogs of South Carolina State will get the ball for the 4th time today. Here's the kickoff return by Ford. McCoy back in the lineup. Here's the running back, but we got a penalty flag. We may have 2 penalty flags down. They'll bring this one back as Ford gets the carry. So first major penalty against South Carolina State today.
Yeah, and I think when it's 1 flag, that means that you probably did it. When it's 2, that means without a doubt. Everyone saw you. It wasn't even close.
That's the center, Raymond Harrison, guilty of holding, returning starter, 2nd team all-conference selection a year ago for the Bulldogs of South Carolina State.
Yeah, and Buddy Pugh talks about Harrison, left guard James Lee, and also Clyde Reed as those 3 guys who are big-time players on that offensive line and can really open up holes, and all of them are doing extremely well this year for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Clyde Reed was the player offensive lineman of the week in their game against Norfolk State a couple of weeks ago. So the penalty moves it back 10. It's 1st and 20 now with 4:02 to go in the first half. 10-6 South Carolina State on top. Here's McCoy on the option, and he's just going to keep it. He called his own number on that one that time, and he brought down that time by Marlon Fair, the senior from Knightdale, South Carolina. His dad and granddad both played football at Florida A&M. Somehow he wound up in Hampton.
Yeah, the MEAC rival, that's tough. I mean, I know it's hard cheering for the Hampton Pirates when you're a Florida A&M grad, your dad and your granddad.
Right. 8 yards on the last run by McCoy, leading rusher in this ball game. It is 2nd down and 12. And now we got a penalty. Let's see what we have now. Maybe a legal shift against the Bulldogs. Three-year starter, the left tackle, Nate Richardson, computer science major. Computer didn't work that time, did it?
Yeah, a little short circuit in there. I mean, big guy was trying to get moving, but it's kind of tricky because you notice the way Cleveland McCoy comes up to the line and doesn't set, and everyone is kind of moving, and so you really don't know when they're going to go or not. And I think they caught Norfolk State a couple of times last week thinking that they weren't going to snap the ball, and they actually did. But you can get up and down with the offensive line as long as you don't put your hand on the ground. And you can see they're all in just 2-point stance.
2nd and 17. Option. And McCoy, great fake, but the defense of Hampton University was not fooled that time as Kendall Langford was there along with Demarius Sapp.
Yeah, I mean, he almost faked himself out right here. You can see with the pitch, and he kind of stumbled. Ooh, that's kind of tough. But Hampton is doing a better job of containing the quarterback with the option, and that's something that there's an adjustment they'll have to make. You have to have someone on the quarterback and on the pitch, and if you don't do that, McCoy has already showed you that he can burn you for big plays.
3rd and 17 right now for South Carolina State. Let's see what this is all about. Now quarterback is coming over the sideline, and our referee, Sam Jones, I think they may have some blood on the arm of the quarterback. And, of course, they're not going to allow it the play to continue. You got to bring somebody else in. You need a quarterback in there. It looks like Brian Hardy is going in, number 18. We saw Russell Hemby earlier. This is a redshirt sophomore from New Bern North Carolina, went to West Craven High, and he's in the lineup right now as they tend to McCoy on the sideline. So we've seen all three quarterbacks.
It's quite a surprise. We didn't expect to see the second two.
And now I think they're going to call a timeout. So they have used all of their timeouts. The clock is down to 2 minutes. We're in Orangeburg, South Carolina. This is a 1AA matchup, Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference style. On this game on ESPNU, presented by Citi. Along with Eddie Robinson, I'm Charlie Neal. Glad you could join us. The Orangeburg group from South Carolina State wearing the garnet jerseys, Hampton in the visiting white. And you look at this Hampton offense for a Hampton team. They started the season with a win over Grambling in overtime in the SWAC MEAC Challenge. That final score was 27-26. Darius Swinton blocked an extra point. They trailed 20-10 in the game and came back and won it. Then they beat Howard 22-12. Whitehurst with a 99-yard interception return. They beat A&T 48-14. Beverly had 204 yards in that game, his first start. They beat Morgan State, that is. That score was 26-7. Shepherd with 3 touchdown passes. They beat Delaware State, Central State, and Norfolk State. So now they're facing, that is, the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. A 3rd and 14. Shepherd, having been tended to, is back in there. Remember, Hampton has all 3 timeouts remaining with 2 minutes to go. They need to convert this one, and it's complete for first down. Got a good spot there.
Very good spot.
And completion to Dustin DuBose, his second reception of the afternoon.
And I think it was worth burning that last time out because you would have had to have a player change, and Cleveland McCoy was able to stay in the game and complete that first down pass to Dustin DuBose.
Now remember, the clock continues to run now. They have no more timeouts remaining. And we're down to 1:35. Moving people around. Baker. And Baker has the ball. I'm surprised they're running the ball, though, with no timeouts remaining.
Well, I think with the time, you still have a chance to get other things going.
Log on to your new online source, all things college sports, ESPNU.com. This online gateway will connect you to all things that college sports has as far as content on ESPN. Log on to ESPNU.com today. We are college sports.
Yeah, Charlie, you want to move quick but not be in a hurry because the last thing you want to do is give Hampton the ball with time on the clock.
Option to the left side. McCoy cuts it back upfield inside the 40 to about the 38-yard line. But again, with no timeouts remaining, the clock is going to run as soon as the ball is set.
Yeah, but we talked to the coach yesterday, said, hey, we're a running team in passing situations. We're still a running team, so I'm not surprised that they're running the ball. Now, you do have to burn with the clock play in order to stop the clock, but the clock stops after the first down in college football, so they only really wasted 2 more seconds. So, I mean, they're in a situation where they either want to score or have the time run out in the game. The last thing you want to do is let Hampton get this ball back with 3 timeouts left. So they're moving quick in the hurry-up mode, but they definitely want to use all of the time up in the process.
Well, they spiked the ball. The quarterback did. So they on first down. So to bring up a 2nd and 10. 50 seconds to go. They're inside Hampton territory at the 38-yard line. And they have a first down and 10. McCoy and Baker in the backfield. McCoy calling the signals. Like you said, they're running team. They're going to go to a little flanker screen to the outside. And they get it to DuBose again, who gets out of bounds to stop the clock inside the 30 at about the 28. I thought maybe we might have had a illegal block down there before the ball got to DuBose. Did you see that on the far side?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a
right there.
It's questionable, and some coaches complain about that on the defense because technically it's a screen play and you're blocking downfield before he catches it. But hey, if it works, the referee doesn't call it, I like it. But DuBose is a tough little kid. I mean, he has 3 catches. 2 of them was for first downs, and he's making some big plays on the edge. I mean, they're all quick plays, and there's more run after catch. But that's all they really need. They're just trying to move the ball down the field and work this clock a little.
3rd down and 1, but more importantly, they're trying to get down the field. And here on the option and running out of bounds in front of the Hampton bench, they really punished Baker over there. He didn't have anywhere to go, and the defense was not going to give. And it was Durant who was there to make sure that he didn't get anywhere.
Yeah, and there goes Durant. I mean, that play was just kind of messed up from the beginning. I don't know exactly what they were trying to do, but you would expect on the 3rd and 1 with this type of physical offensive line that South Carolina State has, hey, just go up the middle with a quarterback sneak or something like that. I wouldn't have went sideline to sideline with Justin Durant and the speed of that Howard defense.
Well, they're going to go for it on 4th down. If they tried to kick a field goal from here, it would be a 50-yard attempt. Their longest field goal they've hit this year is 30 yards. So they're going to go for it on 4th down. As a team so far this year, they're 8 of 17 on 4th down conversions. McCoy, the option, gets the first down. The clock stops to move the chain. They're going to have to spike the ball real quickly as they line up. Down to 29 seconds left in the half. Still plenty of time. They use the clock wisely. As soon as the ball is set, they'll snap it with Harrison, and McCoy will down it. And that's what he does. So they lose only 3 seconds off the clock.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to realize, Charlie, I mean, I like what they're doing. They may only end up with a field goal because of the time situation, but keep in mind, you have the 11th ranked team in the country. They're coming to your place. They're undefeated. To go up 10-6 or even 13-6 in the first half, I mean, that's a great job by South Carolina State at this point in the game.
It certainly is, and they've done a great job. A good game plan put together is McCoy. Throwing out to the flat, and it's going to be incomplete. King is the intended receiver. And the clock stops with the incompletion with 21 seconds to go, but it's 3rd down and 10.
Now you're in a tough situation, because if you do run the football in this situation and you don't get the first down, then you have to hurry up and get your team on to kick this field goal on 4th down. So I'm pretty sure this would be a pass.
I would hope so. But then I'm not Joe Blackwell, the offensive coordinator.
Well, if you run it, it's a good play if you get the first down.
Thrown to the end zone. Incomplete. Closest man to it was Gerald McLeod offensively. And he had help. There was a lot of defense around him in terms of white shirts. So field goal unit is coming on. This time they're going to try it with Chris Dupree. Now, Dupree has only attempted 1 field goal this year. He is 0 for 1 in that department. Gaston has attempted 3, so they have not kicked a lot of field goals. This will be a 40-yard field goal for the junior from Johnson City, Kansas, who transferred from Coffeyville Junior College. Has the distance, but it's off to the right, no good. So the 40-yard field goal, no good. And with 11 seconds to go, it still remains 10-6.
But I like what they did in that drive. I mean, they were able to move the ball down the field. They got into a 3rd down situation. They took a shot in the end zone. Hey, maybe we'll get a pass interference. Maybe we get a touchdown, one-on-one coverage. See what can happen. If not, you kick the field goal. You miss the field goal. You're still up 10-6. And, hey, you're playing the number 11 team in the country, the team that's dominated you. They've beaten you in conference play the last couple of years. 10-6 is not a bad way to start this football game.
27-yard line is where they started that drive. They tried the 40-yard field goal, and it was to no avail. At the end of the half, South Carolina State at home leading Hampton 10-6. When we come back, Sports Center U update. We'll get you caught up with the news from around the country, plus sounds from the bands right here at Bulldog Stadium in Orangeburg. Upsetting the 11th ranked Hampton Pirates. Speaking of Hampton, let's listen to their band, the Marching Force from Hampton University. South Carolina State, Cleveland McCoy has kind of run the offense, and he scored the only touchdown of the ball game.
Yeah, you can see Cleveland McCoy coming right into your living room, running the option. You want to take away the pitch guy. Yeah, I'll take it myself into the end zone. This guy's made all of the right decisions today and has put South Carolina State on top 10-6 at the halftime. Princeton Shepard, his counterpart, a lot of pressure. He has not been comfortable at all today. Big time pressure from South Carolina State Bulldogs. They finally get a sack here at the end of the half, but all day he's just been harassed. I mean, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception coming into the game. But with this type of pressure, it's going to be tough for him to get things going into the second half.
All right. The South Carolina State marching 101 down on the field right now. Let's take a listen. the marching 101 from South Carolina State. And we're at halftime here at Orangeburg of this 1AA MEAC matchup. 10-6, our score, second half, when we come back.
Saturday.
Start the second half here, 10-6, South Carolina State over Hampton. Just moments ago, we got a chance to talk to South Carolina State coach Buddy Pugh. Coach, good job in the first half. Second half, still a lot of football to be played. What do you do to maintain what you've accomplished so far?
Well, we get the football here. We need to get it down and get it in the end zone. We've got a chance right now to maybe get something really going. I think we got to do it right now.
Yeah, Cleveland McCoy is having an outstanding first half. He's doing a good job of running and passing.
Yeah, Cleve has done a nice job of mixing the run to pass. And we hadn't thrown for that high percentage, but we've been effective throwing, and he's made some good decisions. So I'm hoping he'll continue to play well this half.
Is he hurt at all?
Well, he's got a little cramp deal going in his offhand, in his left hand. I don't exactly know what's going on there, but he did miss a series. Hopefully he'll make the rest of the game.
All right, good luck second half, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
And to start the second half, the Bulldogs will get the ball as you look at Stephon Gore, number 23 there, junior from North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Will Ford, his counterpart, Patarini, kicking off for Hampton. And it'll come down to Ford, and it'll bounce in the end zone. He'll field it a yard deep, and he's coming out with it. Out across the 5, finds a little seam, but not much for long. Out to about the 13-yard line. Let's look at the first half game summary.
Yeah, very exciting game if you're a Bulldog fan. Of course, you look at the rushing yards favoring South Carolina State. You kind of expect that, but the total yards also. The big thing here is that South Carolina State is up 10-6 at home against a tough Pirate team, Hampton team, and we'll see what they can do in the second half. Cleveland
McCoy with 106 rushing yards in the first half, and it's a first down and 10. And Deshaun Baker is the lone setback in the backfield right now. They've gone with an I-back formation most of the game when they weren't working from the shotgun. And here's Deshaun Baker being brought down from behind by Alden Blizzard.
And as we talked with Buddy Pugh at the half, you realize he knows that they still need more points. I mean, it's hard to hold a Hampton offense to 6.5 points, and to expect to keep that up to the whole game is going to be tough. So he knows they need to go back and score right here in this opening possession of the third quarter.
Howard's least amount of points they scored this year was 26. And that was, well, actually it was 22, and that was against Howard. And here's Deshaun Baker with the first down across the 30 to about the 32-yard line before Darius Swinton made the stop defensively.
It's just an inside handoff. I mean, the guys up front are blocking extremely well, and just a little cutback. You see the quarterback is faking that run on the backside and is giving that running back a little bit of a crease.
And they're going with that quick huddle offense again. The change was hardly set before they ran that ball. I'll tell you, they're coming. You're talking about that 3 different tempos, the quick, the medium, and the fast. Well, they're going with the quick tempo right now. They're not allowing the defense to get set.
Yeah, and I like that because you're coming out of the half, you're beginning of the third quarter, you catch Hampton, you know, they're long halftime with the battle of the bands and everything, and now you hurry up and speed it up, and you can make some quick plays.
McCoy to pass it this time, has it complete for a first down to Gerald McLeod, and McLeod moves the chains forward right at the 48-yard line. And of course the coaching staff, the brain trust from the South Carolina State Bulldogs, they're in the booth right next to us and charting the plays as they go along.
And I tell you what, they have 6 coaches in that booth. So, I mean, I don't know what the total amount of coaches on staff for Buddy Pugh, but he has a lot of help in getting this Bulldog team ready to play.
Another one just came in. They keep adding.
Hey, they have a lot of them. Hey, when you're winning 10-6, Buddy Pugh, whatever it takes, get 10 more coaches in there because you're playing great today so far.
Gain of 3 on the last play, second down and 7. Movement up front. They've got Kelly King motioning. Trey Young is in there, number 7, and here's the play action. McCoy in the face of pressure gets away and still dances to the outside and then lets the ball go. Has it complete. Trey Young, first down inside the 35.
I mean, McCoy, wow. I mean, look at what this guy does. I mean, they played the play great. I mean, and this is what you have to do besides the X's and O's. I mean, Hampton has a player in position. They can't bring him down. He fakes, makes it look like he's going to run. Then he pulls back and then fires a strike and still gets the first down. Great individual effort by McCoy on that play, making all of the right decisions in this game today.
I don't know how he got the ball out of the cradle of his arm to throw it.
Yeah, because he had it in the tuck position. Right. He had all 3 points of the football covered like he was going to run, and sold the running play and was still able to throw a pass.
Offsides against Hampton. Let's watch it once again.
Penalty.
Sam Jones, our referee. Let's watch him.
Yeah, and from a defender standpoint, it's so hard to stop this play. I mean, look, you have guys in position, but McCoy is just such a great athlete, they can't stop him.
And they run the ball with Deshaun Baker. That was a 1st and 5 play. He picked up maybe 2. It'll be 2nd down and 3.
So many coaches will tell you that opening possession of the 3rd quarter is how you establish and finish the football game. South Carolina State coming right back out here, taking it back to the Hampton Pirates, trying to put more points on the scoreboard. Hampton's going to have to do something defensively to try and slow them down.
Well, this is the game, I guess, that South Carolina State Bulldogs have been looking for all season, as Baker goes off the right side and has finally bounced out of bounds, but not before a good gain, and then we get a penalty flag on top of it. He got the first down with ease. Let's see what the flag is about. Do we have holding?
It's just an off-tackle run, and you can see Baker. He gets upfield really fast, and he knows how to finish runs. There's not a lot of dancing inside to side.
It's against South Carolina State. They're moving backward.
Offense, holding, number 70 and 78.
Wow. 2 for the price of 1.
10-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Well, if you're going to hold, you may as well everybody hold, huh? Double jeopardy. It's only 1 penalty. You can only get 1 penalty.
And they have a lot
how many
of
flags?
they have a lot of jerseys. I mean, you wonder how the running back was able to get to the edge. I mean, they had 2 or 3 guys. So I saw a 3rd one too. So they did good, only getting 2 people to get that flag.
Yeah, James Lee and Clyde Reed, the guard and tackle respectively, caught holding. So far in this drive, Deshaun Baker with 30 yards. This drive started at their own 13. They're across midfield. Here's the pass out in the flat to DeBose. Another catch by him, and DeBose may score. Flag is down. 5. Touchdown. Let's see what the penalty marker's all about. There is a penalty flag down at about the 30. Do we have a bad block clip or a block in the back?
Yeah, I think the linesman on the side, right in front of Buddy Pugh, no less, threw the flag, and he's going to call holding on the receiver.
During the run, offensive holding, number 7. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Trey Young guilty of the infraction. DeBose had the touchdown, but it's going to be brought back 10 yards, and it moves the ball down inside the 30 to the 28. So it'll bring up a 3rd down. Or make it 2nd. 2nd and about 3. There's the penalties in the ball game. Boy, I'll tell you, they needed that one badly, didn't they?
Yeah, that was a big play, but had him down at the 1.
There's only been 1 touchdown in the game, and here's a run off the left side. But not much room there for Deshaun Baker. It closed quickly, but more importantly, he got the first down. And Baker continues to pile up the yards on this drive.
Yeah, but I tell you what, man, I like the way South Carolina State is coming off the football. They're establishing block. I mean, they're getting a couple holding penalties, but trust me, these guys are playing a physical style of football, and they're bringing it to the Hampton Pirates. We'll have to see. Hampton looks like they're just a little bit fatigued. They don't have the same pop and the same enthusiasm and the spring in their legs like this South Carolina State offense does right now.
Baker, the lone setback. McCoy looking to the sideline to the offensive coordinator for the play. Here's Deshaun Baker. Baker straight ahead, close to another first down, may have it at about the 12. He's been a workhorse on this one.
Yeah, I mean, hey, just keep giving it to him. Look at the guys up front. I mean, big 55, Raymond Harris. I mean, those guys, Pringle, they're knocking people off of the line of scrimmage and establishing a new one, and he's just following in behind those big boys.
2nd and 1. He got 9 on the last one. Evan Capers, who we saw earlier, getting fired up. He's the blocking back in there now for Ford. Here's the option to the right side. McCoy trying to turn the corner and can't get away, as Blizzard was there to ride him down, and he's a little slow getting up.
Yeah, and Blizzard 6.5 tackles for loss. Just good speed by defensive lineman. Number 90 chases McCoy down, and but McCoy is still doing all the things right. I mean, they're still bringing a lot of heat on Hampton, and they're putting the pressure on Hampton defense to try to respond to their offensive intensity.
3rd down and 3 right now. Now Baker is back in the lineup. Capers goes out. And the handoff is met by Marlon Fair. He read that play right away, didn't he?
Yeah, I think that has to be a blitz, because there's no way a free safety can read an inside handoff that good. But look at him coming from the free safety spot right into your pitcher. I mean, as soon as he touches the ball, bam, right there, tackle for loss.
Marlon Fair, number 7. Boy, listen to the pads pop. The senior from Knightdale, South Carolina. This will be a 32-yard field goal attempt. This time it's Michael Gaston attempting it. He already has a field goal in the game. The snap is up, has the distance, and it is good. So the Bulldogs make it a 7-point game, 13-6. We'll be back. 13-6 our score here. Charlie Neal along with Eddie Robinson in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And we'll see how big that holding penalty against South Carolina State, where they took 4 points off the board because they had a touchdown and they wound up settling for a field goal. See how that looms here. So instead of 17-6, it's 13-6. And look at this kick. A high kick goes end over end. Fielded at the 10. Whoa! Hello. DuBose on the stop. Yeah, welcome to Orangeburg.
And that's my little 5'8" wide receiver from Darlington High School. I mean, he's been making a lot of plays on the offensive side of the ball, and this is what you need. You need one of those flashers. They call those guys on the end, and if they can make the play, they give them the green light to go and make it, and he did a great job of getting that tackle right by the 20-yard line.
Yeah, you don't see those guys coming, right? They come up out the ground. They're like with the little rubber black beads they put in the grass.
And he's fast. I mean, that kid turned the corner and just made a great special teams play. And that's what you need. Wide receivers stepping up on special teams also. I like to see that.
From their own 23, they go to work, trailing in this ball game by a touchdown pass out in the flat to Gilchrist, and he steps out of bounds. You talk about Hampton University coming into the game. They were a prolific scoring team, averaging, they were leading the conference in scoring. And they were averaging 37 points a game, averaging 18.5 points per half. And today only 6 points in the first half.
I mean, only 3 points in the first quarter, 3 in the second. So like you said, their scoring is extremely down. We'll see if they can pick it up here in the second half if they want to win this football game.
And it's nothing that Hampton is not doing. It's what South Carolina State is doing.
I mean, they're playing great on defense. They're tackling. They're not missing tackles, and they're bringing pressure on 3rd down, which I like to see.
Here comes McFadden on the blitz, wide open, but they get the pass complete to Derek Faulkner before he's ridden out of bounds on the far sideline by Henderson, LaTravis Henderson. But there's Derek Faulkner with his first catch of the day.
And we knew South Carolina State's defense was young in the secondary. I mean, they have a lot of talent, but they don't feel like they can play a lot of man. So they're playing a lot of zone coverage too. And they're also blitzing, but when they blitz, they always keep a zone coverage behind it. So they're not selling out to play man-to-man, not giving up the big plays. They're forcing Hamptons in the 3rd and longs, and then they're executing on defense.
That was the 19th straight game in which Derek Faulkner has a reception. It is 3rd down and 1, and they keep it on the ground straight ahead, go for the first down with the running game. And it was Princeton Shepard. 1st down and 10 as the chains move forward for the Pirates of Hampton. And there's Derek Coleman. I should say Alonzo Coleman. There's a Derek Coleman, plays basketball. Alonzo Coleman on the sideline.
Yeah, but Alonzo Coleman, I mean, look at this. I mean, 90 yards away from being an all-time MEAC rushing record. Only had 9 yards last week, was banged up. He started the game this week. Only has 2 yards today. So, I mean, obviously this guy isn't ready to go. They put him in a couple of decoy situations, but Beverly has been the main guy carrying the load today in the running department.
11 yards in 2 games. I think we've seen that happen to him. Here's Gilchrist on the reception. Loses his helmet. and finally is swarmed under. It took 3 defenders to bring him down, but they finally do it. And the man who finally finished him off was number 39. And that was Patrick Reed.
Yeah, I mean, and Tom Evangelista, the defensive coordinator for South Carolina State, he would be extremely proud of the way his defense is playing today. I mean, this is only a bubble screen. This is like a signature play from Hampton. They usually take this play and get 10, 15 yards. But look at all of the red shirts. Guys are running, flying around the ball, knocking the helmet off of the opposing player, and they're playing with a lot of attitude and intensity. And as this game goes on, they're getting more and more confidence that we can beat the Hampton Pirates today.
Loss of yardage on the play, about 4 to be exact. Second down and 14. Play action for Shepard. Pass out the flat. Has it complete to Ernie Lomax, the tight end. Lomax, the junior from Washington, D.C., knocked out of bounds on the far sideline by Thomas Stanley, the senior from Atlanta's Tacoma High. So now we come in with a nickel package defensively for South Carolina State on 3rd and long.
Right. Every time it's been a 3rd and long situation, they've brought pressure. They haven't let Princeton Shepard get comfortable. Let's see what they do on this one.
3rd and 9. McFadden's going to come from the top of your screen this time. He gets there, and they get the pass complete, but it's very, very short. Not enough for a first down. As the pass was complete to Gilchrist right at the 40-yard line, which will bring up a 4th down punting situation, and Jamal Blanchard, who probably hasn't punted this much all year, will come off the bench once again.
Yeah, great game plan by South Carolina State. They bring the pressure on the outside. You don't always have to get a sack on 3rd down. If you make them throw a short pass and make the tackle, you're off the field.
Here's Blanchard's punt. Dominique Henry lets it bounce. It takes a Hampton roll and dies right about the 5-yard line. So South Carolina State will have their back to the wall, but more importantly, they feel good about what they've done so far. They lead it by a touchdown here in the 3rd quarter. With 5:13 to go in the 3rd quarter, along with Eddie Robinson, I'm Charlie Neal, and Deshaun Baker has been the man of record in this second half. Last drive, 45 yards. It led to the field goal.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't found the end zone yet today, but he's running with authority inside and outside. You can see the physical run here. He's finishing the run, and the big guys, man, Pringle, Harrison, Lee, Richardson, and Reed, the 5 guys up front are providing big holes for him. And look what he's done today. 16 rushes for 63 yards. Very, very physical presence when he touches the football for the Bulldogs.
45 of those came on that last drive, and they wound up with a 32-yard field goal. Here we go again. Here's Deshaun Baker, tripped up at the 30-yard line, but not before a big run, and coming up to make the stop was Calvin Bannister.
And he's finishing off where he did the last drive. I mean, it's no fair dodging here. South Carolina State, the Bulldogs are just going inside. No mystery about that. He's just going downhill, untouched for the first 10 yards. Great job up front. 25
yards on that run. None on this one. Blizzard was the man who led the charge defensively for the Pirates of Hampton University, along with Ray Lewis.
And you have to look at the fatigue level for this Hampton defense. I mean, that's 34 rushes by South Carolina State already, and we're still at the end of the 3rd quarter. They had 53 rushes last week, so Buddy Pugh will run the ball until you stop them.
Yeah. If it's working,
why stop?
And then the thing is, it's like the old Green Bay Packers. We were talking a little bit about it yesterday. You knew what they were going to do. What can you do to stop it? You know?
Yeah, and we talked about it. We said, what happens if you get down 14 points and you're in the passing situation? He said, well, we're going to keep running, right? So, I mean, they're a running team. Don't get fooled by this shotgun and all of this stuff where you have wide receivers in the football game. And those wide receivers are in there to block. They didn't have one guy from a wide receiver position who had more than 10 catches. So they know that their role is to block first and get some short passes here and there.
And they've reinstated the tight end of their offense, and they don't throw to him a lot, but they use him in the blocking situation. Here's McCoy. This pass goes off the hands of the intended receiver. You're talking about
late flag.
Well, this flag came in from left field.
It was stuck in his pocket.
Apparently.
This will be a big call because it's a 3rd down situation. I don't know what the call is.
Would you think it was interference?
I probably just let him play football in that situation, but
especially when you call it from 20 yards downfield.
Well, it was so late, and that's the thing that's really going to upset, one of these teams because it's such a late call.
Joe Taylor on the sideline on the far side, not happy with it. The fact that the flag came in so late. There's Joe. And he normally doesn't get A lot of emotional.
Now they're trying to argue that maybe it was a tip pass.
Or it wasn't catchable. But anyway. Maybe that.
The ball was tipped.
And that's what Joe Taylor.
That's not pass interference.
And that's probably why the line judge never dropped his flag and it was thrown way downfield. Now the coaches on South Carolina State side are not happy.
And I didn't see a tip on that one, Charlie.
Me either. Well, it was tipped by somebody.
And Buddy Pugh, you have to, from his vantage point, it is right in front of his face. So when he sees that happening, I mean, you can bet he's giving that referee an earful right now.
Well, the line judge was the man who was closest to it and did not throw the flag. So it'll bring up a punting situation, 4th down and about 8. And that'll bring on the punter, Gaston. He's gotten off some good ones today. Now we may have a delay of game. Play clock ran out.
5-yard penalty. Still falls down.
But he's still upset. They had to grab him on the sideline. He was going berserk.
I mean, because that's a difference-making play. You're talking about a 1st down. You're keeping the clock moving. You're keeping possession. And keep in mind, it's only a 13-6 lead. It seems like South Carolina State is dominating this game, but one big play by Hampton, and we're all tied up again.
No question about it. Second time today that South Carolina State has punted the ball. Marquay McDaniel is the deep man. It's going to be short, and they're going to make sure he doesn't touch it. And it takes a Hampton University bounce and dies right at about the 30 or 42-yard line. There's Buddy Pugh. Not a happy man right now, even though his team is leading.
Little house on the prairie. Yes! One more. Go. Another. Go quick, 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 quick. Okay.
Back here, 13-6 our score. Hampton in the 3rd quarter has not put any points on the board, which is something they rarely do, is go quarters without scoring. Coming into today's game, they had scored in 27 of the last 28 quarters. Now they've scored in 29 of the last 30. And here's the run to the left side with Beverly with a gain of about 2 yards, and that's about it. One of the things I like about what's been happening today, there haven't been many mistakes in terms of teams turning the ball over. And the only mistakes I see South Carolina State made was the penalty that took 4 points off the board, plus they missed a 40-yard field goal.
Yeah, I mean, and that just goes back to the coaching. I mean, you have Buddy Pugh, Coach Taylor, 2 very accomplished coaches in this conference and in the country. They know how to keep their guys well prepared. But the thing I like about South Carolina State, the mistakes they're making in the penalties are aggressive mistakes. Holding penalties when you're trying to make that last block. You can live with those.
Shepard rolling left, throws, has it complete. Out in the flat to Quartrell Payton. The big fullback gets it across midfield into South Carolina State territory. And they haven't been over there much today. Their opening drive of the first half, they got a 38-yard field goal. And then they punted the next 2 possessions. They got a 41-yard field goal. Here in the second half, this is only Hampton's 2nd possession. They started at their own 23 the first drive and punted from their own 40. This one started at the 42, and they're right at midfield right now with 2 minutes to go in the quarter. 3rd down and 2. Shepard throws incomplete. Gilchrist, the intended receiver, far sideline. 4th down, Hampton.
Man, and you can tell those young cornerbacks are really stepping up and making plays today. I really like the secondary play by the Bulldogs. I mean, they were young and inexperienced coming into this game, but they've really held their own. I mean, holding Hampton to 6 points. They gave up a couple big plays early, and they've been tested, and they've really responded well.
Hey, you talk about one of those freshmen back there is Marquis Hamlin. The other young man is Terrence Allen, a redshirt sophomore. Hamlin is a redshirt freshman. And here's a fair catch called for, made by Dominique Henry, the sophomore, at the 12-yard line. ESPNU Inside the Polls, presented by Conoco, breaks down the new college football polls each Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, with Mike Hall, Mike Gottfried, and Todd McShay taking a look back at the week that was and look ahead to the big matchups in college football. ESPNU Inside the Polls, presented by Conoco, comes your way Mondays at 6 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. From their own 12, Bulldogs of South Carolina State with a late addition to the lineup. Here's McCoy handed off, and it is Ford on the carry. Maybe lost a yard or two on the play. Dropped back at the 10, actually.
Yeah, and when your lead blocker is running onto the field late in that situation, I didn't think that play had a whole lot of chance of success.
I don't think they did either.
Right. I mean, you have one guy running on late and you're counting on him to make the key block. You have to wonder if you're going to have anything good happen on that type of play.
You know, one of the things when we were talking to Coach yesterday, we were talking about all the changes that they made, yet everything basically stayed the same. Most of it was terminology.
Yeah, it was tricky listening to him because I didn't understand exactly what he was saying.
Well, you heard me ask the question as we lose more yards. I said, Coach, what I'm hearing is that you haven't changed anything.
I think it was one of those things where you do addition by subtraction. He said the offense was pretty much bottlenecked. They couldn't expand. They couldn't do anything more with it. So they felt like they had to redo it, rebuild it. And Buddy Pugh and Joe Blackwell, I mean, they got together in the offseason and even this season started to tinker with things. And Cleveland McCoy started off the year with only 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, which really wasn't like him. In 2005, he had 13 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So now he's starting to get an understanding, a feeling for what they want him to do.
Here's McCoy now breaking out of the pack, trying to get to something going positively, and gets back to the original line of scrimmage +1. And he's upended there, but it'll bring up a 4th down, and that's the last play of the 3rd quarter. So Hampton University shut out in the 3rd quarter. Only the 2nd time this year that they have failed to score in any quarter in the game. 13-6, 15 minutes of football left here in Orangeburg. It's been all Bulldogs so far. As we start the 4th quarter here in Orangeburg, South Carolina, along with Eddie Robinson, I'm Charlie Neal. You're watching ESPNU College Football presented by Citi. Hampton University trailing by a score of 13-6. The last time they only scored 6 points in a game was the first game of the 2003 season, in which they scored only 6 points in a loss to Villanova. That final there was 41-6. Here's a punt. Good kick. Driving McDaniel. He calls for the fair catch all the way back across his 45 inside to the 44-yard line, and that's where Hampton will go to work. But they have good field position, so that was good defense on their part the last time, even though they didn't score in that 3rd quarter.
I mean, it's a field position game going down the stretch, and like we said, even though you have that feel like South Carolina State is doing what they need to do to win this game, the bottom line is they're only up by 7 points, and I think the fans inside the stadium kind of sense it like, hey, we're not out the woods yet. I mean, you're still playing the 7th-ranked team in the country. You know, 2-time MEAC champ. You have to beat the champ. You can't expect them just to give it to you. So the Bulldogs will have to definitely finish out this game.
Empty backfield. McDaniel man in motion. Here's the option. Here's going to be thrown. Gilchrist. And it goes incomplete. He was the intended receiver, Andre Jones. He is not a quarterback.
No, he's not. And if he was a quarterback, it may have been a tie ball game. But give credit to Bailey Brinson, number 26. I mean, this is some tough things for a secondary. I mean, you have a lot of young guys back there. Look at the double reverse pass and just keep running and running. And, hey, it hits you in the back. It's a good play. As long as he don't catch it, it's a positive.
But the thing is, if you're a quarterback, you throw it where the receiver has a chance of catching. Not that he has to come back.
But, Charlie, you started off by saying he's not a quarterback.
No question. Let's throw that play out of the book. They do have some people that who play quarterback. And there's a pass complete for about 4 yards in front of the South Carolina State bench to Beverly.
Yeah, but Hampton's run the reverse pass early on in the game. They ran a return to sender play, and they had a couple big games, 20 and 30-yard games, but the South Carolina State defense has not given up the touchdown by the gadget players from Hampton, and that's what you want. It doesn't matter if you give up a big play here or there. Don't give up the touchdown. So those young guys in the secondary are learning under fire, and so far they're doing pretty good.
Antoine Smith, if anybody you were going to let him throw the ball, would be the man. He's a former quarterback who's now playing wide receiver. This one complete to McDaniel. That's his 4th catch of the day. And a first down for Hampton. The ball is inside the 35.
Yeah, McDaniel started off with a couple
45.
of one-handed catches early in the game. You thought he was going to have a huge day. Then he got real quiet, and now they're going back to him again. And that's someone that they want to get back involved into this game if they expect to win it.
Ball at the 42-yard line of South Carolina State. The option to the right side. Here's Beverly trying to go right and nothing doing that time as Eric Turner was there, the senior from Athens, Georgia, to make the stop defensively.
Yeah, and one of those senior defensive linemen. I mean, you have Shaw, Turner, and Epps. I mean, those are the guys who kind of are anchoring this defensive front. And if they can keep making big plays like that, this Bulldog defense hasn't given up anything on the ground, making Hampton one-dimensional. That's what Coach Tom Evangelistas talked about yesterday. He wanted to make this game one-dimensional, make Hampton have to pass it and take away that running attack.
Chris Beatty, who's been the offensive coordinator first year at Hampton, this is something he probably hadn't seen all year long. He had very good success at Lansdowne High School and has a couple of his ex-players here. And there's a long throw from Shepard, trying to get it to Andre Jones. Don't forget to lace up your skates for college hockey on ESPNU next Sunday. The Maine Black Bears taking on the North Dakota Fighting Sioux. It's a battle of two of the nation's top hockey programs. College hockey, it comes your way on ESPNU Sunday at 3 Eastern. More information, log on to ESPNU.com. 13:01, our time remaining. Third down and 13 for the Pirates of Hampton University. In the 11 wins against South Carolina State, Hampton was averaging 26 points a game. But I'll tell you, the Bulldogs had their number today, and now the Pirates spend a timeout here as Princeton Shepard calls one. And let's look and revisit the MEAC standings right now. Hampton came in as the top team. Delaware State at last report was leading Morgan 24-0 in that particular game. So that would put Delaware State in sole possession of second place should South Carolina State lose this game today. Or if they should win, there would be a tie for second between South Carolina State and Delaware State. Hampton University, of course, on top. Bethune-Cookman, I believe they have this weekend off. They're not playing today. Florida A&M was trailing Norfolk State by 1 at last report, and Howard University was trying to get home by leading the Aggies of North Carolina A&T, trying to keep the Aggies unbeaten. They were leading them at the half, 19-0.
We'll talk about the teams at the top of the conference and not the ones at the bottom. South Carolina State, the big thing I like about them is if they can pull off this upset today, they go to Delaware, and that'll be a huge game next week. Just taking a brief look ahead, but they're not out of the woods yet today. But that'll be a big game against Delaware State next week.
It certainly would, up in Dover. Third down now facing the Pirates. 3rd and 13. 3rd and long. Shepard from the empty backfield. Under a little pressure. Flag is out there, even if it's complete. And it is complete in front of the Hampton bench. It's a penalty flag down. And McDaniel was the man on the receiving end, but that's going to probably come back anyhow.
Offense holding number 66. 10-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
First team all-conference selection, Nevin McCaskill is the man who was guilty of holding.
Yeah, he held a man a 2-point takedown also.
God be high down in Tallahassee. 3-year starter. Started in 35 straight games. Nevin McCaskill.
Now we have 3rd and back to the 32-yard line. I can't add that high, Charlie. You have to help me out. But this is a situation that no offense wants to be in.
23. 3rd and 23. Low snap. Here's the pass. Incomplete. Andre Jones, the intended receiver. And what a difference a week makes. A week ago, Princeton Shepard could do no wrong. Today, he can do no right.
Yeah, like you said, 4 touchdown passes last week. Today, he cannot get 1 completion into the end zone. But keep in mind, man, this South Carolina State defense, especially the secondary, is extremely young. Only 4 interceptions by the secondary so far this year, but they're playing extremely well today. I mean, they're making all the correct plays. They don't give you a chance
to throw it.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of pressure up front.
Yes, indeed. He came up with 12 sacks coming into the game, as this one will bounce into the end zone. And South Carolina State will have great position when we come back. 13-6, our score, 4th quarter. AA matchup right here on ESPNU. Along with Eddie Robinson, Charlie Neal, here's the remaining of the schedule for the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. They win today. They go up to Dover, Delaware to take on the Hornets of Delaware State a week from Saturday, or a week from today. And a big game. That will be a battle for second place, provided Delaware State holds on today against Morgan. Then they play home against Howard. Then they close it out against Morgan State, and in Charlotte against North Carolina A&T.
Yeah, and let's not kid ourselves. Buddy Pugh wants to get this team in the 1AA playoffs. They would have to run the table to do that.
Here's Cleveland McCoy. He's done that so well today on that option play to the right or left side. And that's the one play in which he scored on. Remember, there's only been 1 touchdown scored in this ball game, and he is the one who did it.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at all of the great players that Hampton has on offense, and South Carolina State with their rushing attack. I mean, Cleveland McCoy has definitely been the star of this game so far.
It's all been field goals. Patarini with a pair, Gaston with a pair for the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. And then the running of Deshaun Baker, who's kept the running game alive. And here's Baker going off the left side, and he gets across the 25 to about the 26. Let's look at the numbers on Cleveland McCoy. He was sacked 11 times coming into the game. But, you know, one of the things that Buddy Pugh talked about yesterday is you look at his rushing yards, 109, 60 passing. They don't want to pass so much. But they said one of the things we know, this is his team. The players have trust in him, they have faith in him, and they know that this is his team.
And, you know, when I've played with quarterbacks like Steve McNair, we felt like he was going to do something good to help us win the game. And the players have that same type of faith in him. Like, hey, he's our leader. Give him the ball. He will make the right decision.
We had a penalty flag that's dropped as Ford gets into the secondary and is across the 45 to the 46. But let's see what the flag is all about. Great run by Mr. Ford. Might have been offside to get the defense.
Offside, number 98. Penalty decline. The result of the play is a first down.
Kendall Langford, offsides.
Here's the speedster, William Ford. But I tell you, I mean, this guy, like we said earlier, 100-meter high school state sprint champs. I mean, he has the speed to go the distance. If he can get through that initial crack, you can see the burst that he brings to this game.
Option to the right side again. Here we go. Knocked off his feet this time. Good play defensively by number 98, Kendall Langford, the same man who was guilty of the offsides. When you talk about the South Carolina State team, we've talked about the 4 MEAC championships Hampton has won since coming into the MEAC, and they're one of the young teams. South Carolina State, one of the original founders of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, they have 11 championships, but it's been quite a while, a couple of years since they won one.
Yeah, you have to go back a couple of years, but I mean, their history. I mean, you have like David Deacon Jones, Donnie Shell, I mean, Harry Carson, a lot of Hall of Famers. Great tradition.
And you had Deacon Jones, and you talked about Marion Motley. You know, Harry Carson went in this year. And here's some history about the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. Of course, we know some great names have come through here. First year they played football was 1907. All-time wins, 366. And the MEAC titles and postseason appearances.
Of course, Buddy Pugh, an alum of South Carolina State, so it's always great when you can come back and coach where you started at.
Yes, it is. He was over at South Carolina with Lou Holtz there for a minute. Here's McCoy trying to turn the corner on a 3rd down play, and he's going to be way short of a first down by at least a yard. Let's see what they do with it on 4th down with the clock ticking and 9 minutes to go. Do you punt it away?
I think you punt it away. I mean, your defense is playing so good today. I do not want to give Hampton a short field, but we'll see what Buddy Pugh does. He may want to roll the dice.
The offense is still in there. Deshaun Baker comes back in. McCoy is still in there. So the personnel offensively stays on 4th down and short. This could be the ball game for the Bulldogs, and now we got movement. Let's see who it's on.
We got all of them moving. I mean, it's going to be hard to sort this one out. A lot
Everybody's
of pointing.
Yeah. You did it. No, I did it. No, you did it. Now coaches are pointing. Coaches on both sides out on the field.
The referee will have a huddle.
They're all talking. Anyway, you know, it's very interesting, and you talk about the people who've gone through South Carolina State. You know, they have 10 players from the MEAC that's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, in addition to the players we just talked about. Harry Carson going in this year after a lot of people didn't think he was going to get there. I don't think he thought he was going to get there because he kept getting passed over year after year after year. But then you have Art Shell and Elvin Bethea and people like that also coming out of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. You know?
Yeah, I mean, and I really like, I mean, I'm so glad that Harry Carson made it into the Hall of Fame. We talked about that last year. I mean, he's a great guy on and off the field. And I mean, the leader of that Giants defense with Lawrence Taylor and all of those Super Bowls, the 2 Super Bowls that they won, but also a Donnie Shell, who isn't in the Hall of Fame. And this is a guy that has 4 Super Bowl titles, 51 interceptions from the strong safety position. So a lot of great players coming through South Carolina State.
Offside, number 94, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Marcus Dixon, preseason 2nd team all-conference, number 94. There you see him up the right side of the center, or left side, depending on which side if you're looking from behind South Carolina State. Meanwhile, it's a 1st down. So that 4th down gamble paid off because South Carolina State gave it, Hampton gave it to them. 8:20 remaining. Clock ticking at the 40 of Hampton. South Carolina State leading it. Option right. Baker hit and brought down from behind. Darius Swinton on the stop defensively. He blocked the extra point against Grambling to preserve the win for Hampton in that overtime game down in Birmingham earlier this year.
Yeah, we're going to need some heroics, definitely, because Hampton's going to have to step up. Someone's on his defense going to have to get a turnover or something like that, because they cannot afford to have South Carolina State get any type of scoring play right now.
A loss of 1 on the play. 2nd down and 11. Raymond Harrison has done a great job at the center spot today for South Carolina State, and now the defense of Hampton, led by Blizzard, on that stop of McCoy, starting to rise to the occasion.
All right, look at this Hampton defense. They had forced a turnover in 33 straight games.
None today.
How do you get ranked that high and consistently be a winning team? You always win that turnover battle. But hey, give South Carolina State offense credit. No interceptions, no fumbles. The ball hasn't been on the ground, and they're an option team. So it's a lot of opportunities to make mistakes. The Bulldogs have played a pretty error-free game so far.
And they turned 18 of those turnovers into 77 points this year. Hampton did.
They had no short field for their offense today. They've had to earn everything they've worked for.
Here's a pass out in the flat to DeBose. DeBose trying to get to the 1st down. Does, and out of bounds.
Great effort.
Great second effort by the redshirt sophomore from Darlington, South Carolina. Has about 3 catches today to his credit. Only caught 2 passes all of last year. But he's done a great job for the Bulldogs this afternoon.
And he's like a package guy. So every time he sprints onto the field, the ball is coming to him. He has a couple little packages and little plays that he runs, but he's almost like a little punt return. But when he gets the ball, he knows how to get up and down the field and make people miss. And that's just a great 3rd down conversion on that play to not only run the clock, but you're also getting close to the red zone area for South Carolina State.
Yeah, South Carolina State in the preseason poll was picked to finish number 2, right behind the Pirates of Hampton University, who are the 2-time defending champs. And now we're going to have to spend a timeout because there was they got a delay. They did not get a chance to get the timeout call.
Buddy Pugh says, hold on, it's not a bad play. You don't want to make a mistake when you're this close to getting this thing into the end zone.
Let's look at the HBCU Black College Football poll. Hampton University on top, unbeaten at 7-0. The only other unbeaten historically black college is the Eagles of North Carolina Central. 7-0, followed by Alabama A&M, Jackson State, Delaware State, Tuskegee, Lane, Bethune, Elizabeth City, and Albany State. And we'll see that Alabama A&M team next week, Eddie. You and I will be down in Birmingham for the Magic City Classic. That's always a big game when they play the Bulldogs, play your old school, Alabama State.
Yeah, that's always a big game, of course, and it's probably one of the biggest tailgate, barbecue, picnic, outside.
Get there early. That's all we can say.
Of any, I mean, and Birmingham is a great city, man. It's the football capital of the South at Legion Field today. That's just a great game. You can make that one. It's one you want to see, but
and it's always sold out.
Always inside the stadium and
outside. There's as many people outside as there are inside. Joe Taylor, though, his team not celebrating much this afternoon. They have failed to put a touchdown on the board. Again, the last time the Pirates were held to just 6 points was the first game of the 2003 season, a game in which they lost to the Wildcats of Villanova University. 41-6 was the final there, and they lost. You know, that's the last time they've been held to that few points.
Yeah, but, you know, talking to Buddy Pugh yesterday, I mean, he realized the importance of this game. He wants to get his team in the 1AA playoffs. I mean, last year they didn't make it. They lost to Hampton. They only had 2 losses, but still didn't get into the playoffs. So he realizes they have to run the table in order to get in.
They win today. Hampton wins out the rest of the season, and South Carolina State wins out. Does the MEAC have a chance to get 2 teams in?
I mean, you would think so because of Hampton's high ranking and the things they've done over the last couple of years, but it's definitely not a guarantee that that second team will get in.
1st and 15 now, and the pass is complete to DeBose, but he's knocked backward, can't get anything going, as he is stopped that time by Lewis, Tobin Lewis.
Yeah, they've finally been able to get a wrap on DeBose. I mean, this is a guy, I mean, his yard after catch numbers are extremely high. But, you know, talking back to last year, I mean, South Carolina State, their only other loss was to Coastal Carolina. And that kept them out of the playoffs. And so, I mean, they were a good team and finished second in the MEAC, didn't get into the playoffs. So who knows if Hampton, even with 1 loss, second in the MEAC, still may not get them into the playoffs.
You're correct about that. And they try to, there's a face mask I think we're going to get. This when the field judge came from way out of left field and threw that. Now the Hampton players are complaining that, no, that was not a face mask.
Keep in mind, we talked earlier in the game, and this Hampton team has pretty much been the bully of the MEAC conference. I mean, winning the last couple of conference titles with 17 straight MEAC victories. I mean, they've been pretty much unstoppable. So give credit to the Bulldogs. I mean, at some point you have to go and get your bike back, like we talked earlier. I mean, they've been riding around on the South Carolina State bike for the last couple of years, and they haven't been able to beat them. But today they're playing them extremely tough.
Place man, 5 yards, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Last week, as we look at this play once again, we made a statement that was made to us by the coach of Norfolk State that the only weakness that Hampton had was when the ball boy dropped the ball, handing it to the referee. Well, South Carolina State found another weakness today.
Yeah, but that's the same thing that Buddy Pugh said. He felt like this was the best Hampton team that Coach Joe Taylor had in the last couple years, and all those other teams were good. He felt like this was the best one.
Here's McCoy with the option right. Sneaks inside behind the tackle, gets the first down at the 15 and out of bounds. A big play for Cleveland McCoy after the face mask penalty, and that gives them another first down with 5:30 to go.
And you can see McCoy, I think this is pretty much one of those option plays coming back again, and 2 hands on the football, go downhill. You know, nothing cute, nothing fancy. You definitely don't want to fumble at this point. Worst case scenario, you kick the field goal and you have a 10-point lead going down the stretch.
Here's McCoy to go to the air. Sack. Why go to the pass?
That's a surprise.
With Sapp on the tackle. Sapp is there to make the stop defensively.
I mean, I would have just about guaranteed you that you would have seen running plays the next 3 times and kick a field goal if you don't get the first down. But now you're risking not staying in field goal position, or something negative happen with a forced fumble or interception. So it'll be interesting to see what this next play call is by Buddy Pugh.
Last loss of 8 on that last play. This drive, 57 yards. They've had the ball for 7 minutes. Pass out in the flat. DeBose trying to juke the defense. Doesn't fool anybody. And the ball is still going to be spotted at about the 22. So it'll be 3rd and 19.
Not a bad play, because that play has been highly efficient for them today. It's just an extension of the running play. All you're doing is like a wide toss. I mean, you're just tossing it to the wide receiver. He's already outside. He has blockers in front of him. He has very, very high percentage. Probably won't drop it, and you can still get some positive yards with the run after the catch.
We may have had something with the clock. For some reason or other, the clock is down to 4:28 all of a sudden. You know we're in Orangeburg.
Yeah, I think Buddy Pugh is saying keep it running.
We're asking the play clock operator to focus and start the clock on time. Thank you.
That's a great way to put it. To stay focused. The game is not over.
I said we were in Orangeburg, didn't I? They put some extra time on that clock.
And here you see McCoy. Look at the 17 rushes for 114 yards and the only touchdown in this game. Let's see if he has any more magic in him to close it out.
Well, we're trying to go to the right side this time. Here's Ford down to the 20. A gain of 3. It'll be 4th down. So it'll be about a 37-yard field goal attempt for. This time they're going to bring in Dupree. Now Dupree missed it. No, they changed. Dupree started on the field. They said, no, you get off, son. You missed a 40-yarder. We're going to bring Mr. Gaston on. He's hit a couple of field goals for us so far today. A 30-yarder. He's hit a 32-yarder. Let's see if he can make this 37-yarder. Gaston, 37 yards out. No good. Off to the right. So he's missed 1, made 2. We'll be back.
Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
13-6. As you look at Joe Taylor, who said for many years, the more you're in the limelight, the more you have to be humble. And this may be the type of game that humbles this this Hampton team today. Not that they came in overconfident, because they know the Bulldogs are a very good team, but the game plan, you know, there you look at Princeton Shepherd last week, 259 yards, 4 touchdowns today, 131 total yards, and he has not been able to get into the end zone. In fact, there's only been 1 touchdown scored. Everything else has been field goals in the contest so far. They had won 13 straight, that is, Hampton games against MEAC teams coming into today's contest. Here's Shepherd trying to get away, but nothing doing that time as the defense collapsed very quickly. And there's Littleberry.
And you can see Princeton Shepherd, he realized, hey, I may have to take this game over and do some things on my own. Now, the Bulldogs have been blitzing all day. This time they only rush 4, play coverage. Littleberry making a big play up front, and you're going to need some of those defensive linemen to make plays in this situation.
McFadden showing blitz and then backing off, but here comes a little pass out in the flat. And running with reckless abandon and getting the first down is Kevin Beverly. Beverly gets the first down.
And Charlie, so many times in this situation, you see defenses get into that, oh, we're not going to blitz mode. We're going to play nice and safe. Let them do, you know, catch the ball in front of us and make tackles. If I'm South Carolina State, I'm blitzing like I was doing all day long. I'm not going to let Shepherd feel comfortable in that pocket. I'm going to run him around and make him make a bad decision.
Well, this is where you see where his experience and how it's going to pay off. Great catch by Andre Jones at midfield for a first down. And threading the needle, there was a defender there, but he threw it high, and Andre Jones comes in at 6'2", had the height to make the catch.
And you see, there you go with the 3-man rush. You see 8 people standing back. Princeton Shepherd, he threw 4 touchdown passes last week. Don't get confused that this guy can't get the ball in scoring position. You have to bring pressure on him if you want him to not complete passes.
Andre Jones comes to the bottom of the screen. McDaniels in the slot. Here's Shepherd rolling right, throws, too big for Derek Faulkner.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your Hamptons, they score. Do you go for the 2 or you go for the extra point time?
Go for the 1. You go for the 1 and play overtime.
You don't believe in trying to win it.
No, you don't. Now when you go for 1. But see, you look here. He has the guy open, but it's the pressure. Make him throw on the run. If he sits in the pocket and he can bake a pizza and call his girlfriend and do all his other stuff, he's going to complete passes. If you bring pressure on him and make him move, you have a chance to be successful.
2nd down and 10 now at midfield. Here's the handoff to Beverly. And remember, they're going to, clock is still running. This is a 3rd down. Against the MEAC teams, 24 consecutive regular season wins, 17 straight against MEAC teams for the Pirates of Hampton University.
And you can throw in a couple of black college national champions in that championships in there. And Joe Taylor, I mean, he has this program really moving along smoothly. I mean, everything you hear about Joe Taylor and the Hampton Pirates is positive on and off the field, but they're the bullies of the MEAC conference. I mean, they just go from school to school, beating up on all the schools. So we'll see if South Carolina State can't do something today.
They won 3 straight over South Carolina State. That's in jeopardy. We have 1:40 remaining.
What makes them different makes them great. Mike and Mike in the Morning on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Everybody talked about the fact, including Pete Adrian at Norfolk State last week, the head coach there, that if anybody was going to have a chance to really knock off the Hampton Pirates, it would be these Bulldogs of South Carolina State, even though they still have to play, that is, Hampton has to play Bethune, and they also have to play the Rattlers of Florida A&M. It is 3rd down and 9. Let's see what they can come up with. A big 3rd down. Biggest of the game. Incomplete. McDaniel, the intended receiver. They're going to have to go for it on 4th down with 1 timeout remaining. Coleman was in the lineup but didn't fool anybody. He's in there for blocking purposes.
Yeah, blocking purposes only. But you can see, man, look at this young secondary. Everybody's sitting back in their zone coverage. Get a decent pass rush. Guys are making plays. You have Stanley, Brinson, Hamlin. All of these young guys are really stepping up and growing up and making plays today. Now, everyone's trying to get the fans up, make some noise. It's 4th down situation. This is basically the ball game.
It is the ball game for Hampton. 4th down and 9. They convert. They keep the drive alive. They miss it. South Carolina State went intercepted off. Only the 2nd INT today of the year. That's McFadden with the interception. Only the 2nd interception that Shepherd has thrown this year.
Wow, what a way to end the football game for the South Carolina State Bulldogs. I mean, this secondary has been young, under fire. Only 4 interceptions by the secondary. Marshall McFadden is coming in and getting his 2nd interception on the year, which should just about end this game for South Carolina State if they can run this clock out.
Remember, Hampton only has 1 timeout remaining. Here's this throw behind. It was behind McDaniel.
Yeah, it was behind. McDaniels definitely had a step on McFadden, but you can see the pressure. Princeton Shepherd is starting to feel the pressure coming around him in the pocket. I mean, this is the first time he's really been harassed and had to move around. He hasn't been able just to sit in that pocket and throw darts. And getting him on the run, he wasn't able to get that pass to Marquet McDaniel on the crossing route. But, hey, give McFadden a good dose of credit when you can make that interception at the end of the game. Pretty much a walk-off interception.
And South Carolina State just taking a knee. Joe Taylor in an unfamiliar position, and now I believe Hampton's going to call their final timeout. Or did they call a timeout?
The score clock shows that they have 1 timeout left.
They did not. But the clock is under a minute. 2-11 all time against Hampton. 43 seconds away from a victory. Earlier in the week, we saw Yadier Molina propel the St. Louis Cardinals, I should say, into the World Series over the Mets with a home run. Today, it was Cleveland McCoy, Deshaun Baker, McFadden, and the field goal kicker, Michael Gaston, and the Bulldogs of South Carolina State overcoming the underdog moniker and hitting the home run football style. And they're very much in the hunt for at least a share of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference title. Congratulations to Buddy Pugh. 7-1. the Pirates fall to of Hampton with their first loss of the season, 13-6, the final. And again, the Bulldogs of South Carolina State, what a great job they did defensively. The final score, South Carolina State 13, Hampton University 6. Up next, Sports Center U. For more information, log on to your new home for the finest in college sports, ESPNU.com. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Eddie Robinson Jr. and our entire ESPNU crew, Charlie Neal saying so long from Dawson Bulldog Stadium in Orangeburg, South Carolina. They'll be partying on 301 tonight. 13-6 the final. South Carolina State over the Pirates of Hampton University. So long, everyone.
You're going to want one of these.
Fathead can take a hit, too. Printed on strong, durable vinyl, you can move Fathead over and over without damaging walls.
Fathead. Go big, go